Hey everybody, this is Chris and Rashed from Newsbeat, and as you guys know, about a month or two ago, we released an episode called Hijacking Jihad, which focused on the commandeering of this ancient Islamic tenet, which actually means personal struggle, by the mainstream media, by extremists, and by certain politicians out there to mean a holy war.
We Muslims are caught in the middle. On the one hand, mainstream media carelessly uses jihad interchangeably with terrorism. And on the other hand, terrorists are exploiting jihad for political gain. The word jihad simply means to struggle, to strive. The terrorists want you to believe that jihad is a holy war. This is simply false. When the motive behind your war is destruction and aggression, it is not jihad. It is terrorism.
From that episode, we were invited to come out to Washington, D.C. As guests at the Wise Up Summit presented by the Women's Islamic Initiative in Spirituality and Equality, which was held October 26th at Carnegie Institution for Science and featured, dozens of speakers and panelists from a wide spectrum, including law enforcement to religious institutions, celebrating the publication of the Wise Up report, which was the culmination of years of research into this and related matters. Rashed, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
The report debunks some of the myths about the religion of Islam and tries to amplify the peaceful teachings and tenets surrounding the religion that often doesn't get publicized in mainstream media. So the following is a conversation we had with some of the collaborators of the report, and it also includes Daisy Khan, who was a narrator in that episode, Hijacking Jihad.
First of all, I was very moved that the summit was practically sold out, and this just is a testament to what's going on in the country and how much thirst and hunger there is for proper information. So when we designed Wise Up, we designed it as a tool that can be used by communities and that can help, distinguish between what true Islam is and how extremists are exploiting that. And I think that the conversations around this issue were so robust and so interesting that we could have gone so much deeper. And we could have spent another day just delving deeper into these issues. So I'm very pleased at the outcome because it shows that when we go on the road, that there's going to be just as much receptivity. There are so many dynamics at play because as long as we have a foothold in Muslim countries and we have military operations, we will invariably have, some sort of, blowback and some response from terrorist groups. And that always affects our community here because we are constantly linked. But what we're trying to do with Wise Up as a tool is to show the delinking. And it is my hope that if we could just do that, that we're able to separate the religion that Muslims practice, everyday Muslims practice, from the actions of the terrorists, that we would have made a major headway, because that is the perception that the American public has, and that perception leads to Islamophobia, and then that affects our community here.
One thing that I think is a major theme that you could take out of this is the idea of knowledge, and the name of the report is Knowledge Ends Extremism.
Yeah.
And some people might think of that as like sort of an oversimplification, but when you think about it, like you did, when you're drilling down on certain themes and definitions and the way that ISIS uses marketing, that knowledge is important, right?
Yeah, the knowledge is critical because you can change hearts and minds with accurate information, and especially in the field of theology, if you don't know where your information is rooted, then there's no meaning to it, and the extremists are very good at exploiting knowledge and using it for their own political gain and exploiting it slightly. So we have to go back and correct that. So the corrective can only be done when we present the real knowledge versus the fake knowledge that's out there.
And lastly, going forward, what's your goal and what do you hope to come out of this? Do you see this as a springboard to talking about the issue even further and in a more educational and productive way?
So this is just a launch pad for what is to come, which is really the campaign around the country to change hearts and minds, because we need to get into the heartland and reach people at where they are. And now we have a tool that we can do it with. We have something in the hand that we can present. And this is a long-term project because you can't change hearts and minds overnight. You have to sit down with people, engage them, just like we did at this summit. We've engaged people ever so slightly, but we would like to go from city to city, town to town, and really meet people and share this information with them so their fears are alleviated, and that we can become, you can unify America again and not have a divided America.
My name is Saeed Khan. I'm a co-founder and a senior researcher at the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, and I'm a senior lecturer in Near Eastern, Asian, and Global Studies at Wayne State University in Detroit. Well, the first and most important takeaway of the report is that it is now an invaluable resource for everyone to get empirical data about the Muslim community, and particularly in this era in which we live where we are post-truth. This is perhaps the best antidote, that at some point people will finally come back to normal and recognize that truth and facts and data really are what matter. And when they do, the report will be waiting for them. For the rest who are already in that space, the report serves again as this invaluable asset where they can go ahead and find information that has been produced by people who were not driven by either a political, profit, or publicity motivation to do so, that are in fact trying to rectify the Muslim American narrative, but also contribute to the clarification of the American narrative. And that could be in the area of resources for those who are morally and ethically driven. It also serves a function there, as well as recognizing that as we're navigating our way through this rather toxic and volatile social and cultural landscape, here is information which provides history, here's information which provides ideology, here's information which provides sociology about the Muslim American community. Not a small group of Americans, and yet at the same time an extremely productive and integral group of Americans.
My name is Nadia Hassan. I am the Outreach Director for WISE. I am also the Executive Director of Young Leaders Institute that I founded about 2 years ago, and we work on building leadership skills in youth, focusing on 3 main areas, which are interpersonal skills development, conflict resolution, and ethical leadership. The launch of the Wise Up report is significant because for the first time, the Muslim community is coming together to produce something that is tangible, that we are offering a solution for to end extremism. Knowledge ends extremism, and it is so profound that it is happening a profound impact on our youth. The youth even are taking. I know it's a 375-page document. And it's pretty thick. So the young people are not going to go through and read it. But just to give you an example, my daughter opened it up, and when she saw the profiles and the stories of various Muslims, there are so many Muslims, not only the famous ones who have done significant things like Malala and Muhammad Ali, and so on and so forth, but there are so many unsung Muslim heroes that nobody has ever heard about. And so when my daughter opened up the book and she saw the stories of these unsung heroes, she was so inspired. She said, well, how come? She asked me, how come we've never heard about these people? How come their stories never make it to CNN or NBC, or, they don't go viral on the internet? And so sadly, our news representation today, our media, is all about if it bleeds, it leads. And they're not concerned with whether it's true, because today, we live in a time where fake news is hip, and alternative facts. It doesn't matter if the alternative facts are true or not. It's news. And so it is, I believe this report is having a profound effect on our youth. They're learning a lot, and they, especially for Muslim youth who perhaps don't know how to read Arabic, the Arabic Quran, and maybe can't understand everything. And so this is a page by page comparison between what the extremist ideology is and what Islam in theology is all about. And so they're able to compare, they're able to look at the facts side by side and see that, well, okay, this is what extremists think, this is what extremists do, and this is what Islam actually says, and this is what Islam promotes. promotes peace and justice and liberty for not only for Muslims, but for all of humanity, for every human being on the earth. And that's what we're here for. As human beings, we are supposed to stand up for the rights of everybody, irrespective of what ethnicity, what language, what culture, where they come from, what economic status. Everybody is created equal under God, and we are supposed to treat everybody equally. And I think that's also another added feature to WISE, because the name of the organization WISE is Women's Islamic Initiatives for Spirituality and Equality. And so that's what we are. We are women implementing our spirituality towards equality for everybody. And just like, our Constitution says, it's justice for all. And somehow we've forgotten the all, and the all needs to get put back in there. And that's what we're about.
And Nani, one thing for me is what I find interesting is that it's taken a while to get here. If you think of 9/11 as sort of like where it started, and it's the 16 years to come up with a report like that. Why do you think that is? And do you think the Muslim American community sort of had to find their footing, find their way to talk about these things, educate themselves in the context of what's going on politically and socially to develop a robust report like this?
I mean, absolutely. Historically, if you look at how every immigrant community came into this country, they had to go through the Catholics, the Japanese, the different denominations of Christianity. Some were accepted, some were not. Look what this country did to Japanese and put them in internment camps. Imagine at what point Catholics weren't even considered Christians, but yet we had a Catholic president at one point. And so there's this transition. The Muslim community is basically the new kids on the block today. And so we are going through the same thing that every other community. Look at Native Americans. Immigrants came over here, sold their land, killed them, and basically, pushed them to the side and said, you are less than us, and this is how you will live, and you will be in servitude to us and to our laws. And Africans who were brought over. It's part of the American narrative, unfortunately, the history which I believe America needs to stand up and admit the atrocities and the genocides it has committed against people. There are certain things that can't happen today because of certain laws, but this bigotry, this discrimination is just taking form in a different way. We've now abolished slavery. Racism is still prevalent in our American fabric. And so, like I said, the Muslims are the new kids on the block. We had challenges. We had to deal with organizing, how to learn to organize our community, how to come together, how to find our voice, how to get integrated into the society, into the culture, how to connect with different groups, how to build coalitions, how to build ourselves up. And I think, it's taken 16 years. It might be a blessing that our community didn't take as long as other communities. I don't know. I would have to see. But we're here now, and we're happy. And I think the most important thing is to understand the contributions that Muslims are making to America and create a better America, to create a better society for everybody. And that's what we want to give not only our various faith communities and non-faith communities, but our youth. That's what they need to see. They need to understand this.
And that does it for this special edition of BackBeat. You could check out Knowledge Ends Extremism at wiseupreport.org. And you can listen and subscribe to Newsbeat at usnewsbeat.com or wherever you get your podcasts.